Continuing now on America Talks Live, and look, we get to talk with our very own Miranda Khan, offering a sneak preview. Oh, you're no sneak, but you're just kind of giving us a preview of what's coming up tonight.
Sneaky, but
let's go, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern, Newsmax Prime.
You ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So when Americans cast their ballots on November 8th, they weren't just choosing a new president, they were also choosing a leader who will get to pick at least one new Supreme Court justice on his first day in office. Now, during the final presidential debate, Donald Trump gave us a look at what kind of justice he may choose should he get elected.
The justices that I'm going to appoint will be pro-life. They will have a conservative bent.
Trump's words resonated with millions of Americans, including one key demographic that Democrats may have written off. And coming up tonight, 8 o'clock on Prime, we'll tell you which group may be responsible for now President-elect Donald Trump.
There is one group.
Key,
mysterious to most, but Miranda Khan,
that's right. I'm
with
not
your
telling.
incisive ability to analyze the electorate and hear from various parts of the punditocracy and look at polling, you have the name of that group.
I do.
It will be revealed tonight.
Ta-da!
8 o'clock.
You got it. So be there.
Newsmax Prime. Absolutely. Be there, and aloha, Miranda. Appreciate that. Now, speaking of pollsters and those in the know, in addition to the fact that we welcome your calls at 1-877-NEWSMAX, 1-877-639-7629, I've got a friend who has been a pollster, a columnist, and dare we say a prophet, because back in 2014, our friend Matt Towery wrote a column on our website entitled Why Donald Trump Should Run. In that column, he predicts the elite media will scoff at a potential Donald Trump candidacy for president. They will consider it a publicity move and a bluff. The Washington insiders will write off Trump as completely unqualified to be a presidential candidate, much less president. Matt Towery knew whereof he wrote, because today he is a prophet who told us what was going to happen. Here to say, hey, gang, I told you so, via Skype. It's our old pal, Matt Towery. Matt, of course, also the author of News Vesting, using news and opinion to grow your personal wealth. So, Matt, first of all, did you place a wager with one of those Vegas betting houses when you said Donald Trump should run? And what have been the returns on that prophecy?
It would have been a lot. I did invest in some certain areas in the stock market, though, because I like to earn my money rather than just to throw it up to the heavens. JD, you and I have been going through this whole campaign together. I was missing a little bit during the general, but I'm happy to be back. This didn't surprise me at all. I literally, when even some of my colleagues in the Fox world that I do affiliate work for were getting a little nervous, I wrote a column, rather a memo to them, which Sean Hannity decided he would read to the world on the radio on Monday, much to my shock. But I told him, I said, Trump's going to win, and here are the reasons why. So I stuck with my belief all the way through, and I'm just glad that I was right. Maybe I can predict next year's weather forecast. I don't think I'll be that lucky.
Well, you really were the guy with the gift of political prophecy, and last night, our own Dick Morris was speaking about another fallacious notion, the notion that Trump won because people were casting a ballot against Hillary. He said, no, they're for Trump. In fact, here is what Dick told us directly last night.
An analysis of the data and of the trends shows that that had nothing to do with it. I believe Trump would have been just as successful against Joe Biden or Elizabeth Warren or Tim Kaine or anyone else the Democrats would pick up. Bernie Sanders might be the exception to that. But the point is that people voted for Trump, not against Hillary.
So what about that assessment? Is that something you shared at really before Trump's decision in your column here at Newsmax.com?
Yeah, I agree. Certainly, Dick is tremendous knowledge, and I have a great deal of respect for him. I agree with 90% of what he says. I wouldn't use the term vote as much turnout, because really this was an issue of turnout. I think maybe Biden, had he been on the ballot, might have done slightly better, because I think there was some degree of just I dislike this woman beyond measure, quote unquote, folks, that you might not have seen with someone like Joe Biden. He would have had his own fallacies. But basically what Dick is saying is correct, and that is the people who turned out for Trump were going to turn out no matter what. They were coming out of their recliners, their cars, their trucks. Nothing was going to keep them from going to the polls to vote for Donald Trump.
And that intensity, and this is another thing we heard from the alphabet networks, their cable cousins, and all the co-conspirators for Hillary, if you will, in the campaign. They told us that Mrs. Clinton was someone who had this vast experience, and that Donald Trump brought this such division. But what you're telling us, if I'm hearing you right, is that, Matt, that Donald Trump, the intensity of his electorate, if you will, essentially guaranteed his success. And we have had other leaders that bring intensity and at the same time polarity, people who stand very tall in terms of historical stature in the United States.
Well, JD, I kept saying, my first political campaign was as a speechwriter for a guy running for the U.S. Senate named Mac Mattingly, who upset Herman Talmadge in 1980, and doing this debate prep for a guy named Newt Gingrich, who was running for his first re-election to Congress. And we saw that wave, a wave hit the country. It passed over Georgia because Jimmy Carter was from Georgia. But I felt a lot of that going on as I was doing my coverage for the various Fox affiliates. I kept pointing to the thing and saying, we got the same wage, and it was voter intensity. It was intensity, I will tell you, from white male voters, and I don't want to blow your cover on the with regard to your show tonight, but it was evangelical Christians who turned out in a massive number, and you saw that particularly in rural areas across the country, and that played a big difference. Also, let me note, JD, this is the largest voter turnout, I believe, and I've been covering so much stuff, I haven't had time to analyze things as much as Dick has, but I cover lots of little ground, unlike Dick, he does the big stuff all the time. So I haven't had time to look at everything, but one of the things I noted when I got the early numbers was that this was going to be the largest turnout in American history. We were looking at 14 to 15 million more votes than we've seen in 2012. And those votes, most of them, some were Hispanic, the uptick in the Hispanic vote, but most of that came from white male voters who simply have sat on their rear end and not voted.
He brought in a new electorate, and you spoke about evangelical Christians. I believe we can put the numbers up on the screen in terms of just what a percentage of evangelicals supported Donald Trump. And here it is, and boy, it looks like the way I used to carve up the pie. 81% for me, and only about 19% for the rest of the family. 16% to Hillary and 3% for others. So an 81% support from the evangelical community. Very, very impressive. I tell you what, Matt, why don't we take a couple of calls since this is called America Talks Live. Let's go up to Michigan, that state that went into the Trump column. Checking in from Auburn Hills, it's Christine. Hi, Christine.
Good afternoon, and hope you're doing well.
Well, we are. What's on your mind, Christine?
Well, I find it curious that the media keeps saying that Obama could possibly pardon Hillary Clinton. I thought that she hadn't done anything wrong. So is he going to preemptively pardon her for the new year, for the new president?
Well, it is conceivable, and Matt, I'm not sure about this, but as I recall from history, if you take a look at what Jerry Ford did in the case of Richard Nixon, it was a preemptive, unconditional pardon. That precedent exists. And so if we go by that, Matt, it is conceivable Mr. Obama could act preemptively, could he not?
Oh, yes, he could. Whether they'd be necessary or not, I think depends a little bit on who Donald Trump decides to name as his attorney general. If he goes with Rudy, they might want to look at that pardon, because I'm not sure Rudy Giuliani, you know him well, also. I don't think he'd take the job with any constraints, and I think he's pretty much on that thing. It probably wouldn't be good for the country for us to see this go forward, in my judgment, no matter what's happened one way or another. I mean, we've had so much division. You see people marching in the streets here. Of course, a lot of that are paid protesters, as you know. This was all pre-planned. They already had their location. Like, that's fine. But if it ever turned into something really bad, because it looked like we were going to truly punish political enemies and the like, which is how it would look to a lot of folks, irrespective of the merits, that would be good going into January. So I don't think Donald Trump, knowing him a little bit, really has the heart to want to do that. Depends on who he names as AG. But yes, Obama could do that.
Yep.
He could actually pardon. He could actually, I believe, constitutionally even pardon himself. Not that he needs to necessarily.
Well, there may be a whole swath of people he might want to issue preemptive pardons to, including the current Attorney General, sad to say. Matt Towery, thanks for checking in with us via Skype, and thanks for being such a prophet politically. We appreciate it. When we come back, a day in history and spotlight on the new First Lady. That's all ahead. Stay